bubbles in the wine. Now, as I play this, everybody will find their place. Some people who sing soprano, alto, you don't have to do anything. They will automatically do it. The mind doesn't do anything. It's just waiting for the right inspiration to come.
I first heard the word ho'oponopono from a man in his early 20s, an acupuncture client who tentatively asked if I'd heard of Dr. Hew Len. I then heard an amazing story, but it wasn't until 2 years later that I was actually able to absorb the doctor's teachings and put ho'oponopono to work in my life. That was about 10 years ago, and I can say with sincerity that I've been using ho'oponopono every day since that time, and more recently, probably every waking hour. And as I'm about to share with you, even during my sleep. It's deeper than I could have ever imagined, but there are some things we all need to know about. Things that could improve cleaning outcomes, mistakes that I've made, and ways to make sense of some of the more cryptic wisdom brought forward by Ihaliakala and Mona. Because on various YouTube videos, you see similar comments appearing, comments like this one. If you don't mind me asking, how many times in a row did you say this? For how long and how many times per day? And how long until you started noticing things changing? And I've never found a clearer answer than...
And so the Ho'oponopono is just simply saying, I love you, thank you.
When the data is erased, what is the self that remains? Is it a unique self that is God created? Is it individuated, or is it just pure self?
So let me come back at you. So I would ask you, who's talking? Who's asking the question?
Well, that would be the data, and
yeah.
Because the other part of me would know the answer to that.
Yeah, but I'm saying since the data is talking, you can erase the data.
That doctor asked a superb question, which gave Ihaliakala the opportunity to answer in such a way as to respond not just to his question, but to all questions, which was to ask in return, where is this question coming from? And to point out that if you can find where these questions are coming from, you can erase them. And when you do that, the thinking mind gives way to what Ihaliakala calls divinity. So I work as a health practitioner, and naturally when clients come in to see me, they bring problems: physical, relationships, emotional, financial. And as a Ho'oponopono practitioner, I clean when I work on them, when I talk to them, when I interact with them. And I always do so with a sense of healing intention towards the client. But at some point I noticed that the outcomes of my cleaning were less than extraordinary, nothing like what you might see in the book Zero Limits. So I had to ask myself questions. Am I doing it right? What's going on? And returning to the basis of the teachings, I realized that what I was doing wrong was actually having a healing intention, because the intention itself is data. This is the data that I was banging into when I was doing the cleaning process.
All problems for the divinity begins with a thought, and with that thought is attached an emotional memory of some sort.
So I had to actually remove that from myself. So I had to erase the data in me, and that included any healing intention or any sense of attachment or expectation to an outcome. And I think a lot of us have that issue, be it in finances, our jobs, our relationships. We'll find, if we look deeper into ourselves, that we're cleaning with an expectation or an intention. So the only way to get truly clear, as I realized, is to go deep and clean that. And once we get clean there, allow divinity to then arise within us and through us into our world, where it can then start to influence things. When this happened, I've noticed little droplets of wisdom spontaneously occurring, like a little voice whispering to me, have you looked at that muscle there? Or if I was working in a hands-on way, my body actually becoming inspired, almost animated in a different way to the way I was working, and doing something I wouldn't have naturally thought of myself. And it feels like when this happens that divinity is truly beginning to work through the cleaning process. But you know, when your body becomes alive, that inspiration is present. But questions, intentions, expectations and hopes can be useful if we learn to cleanse these at their source, that part of us that exists as data, in order to free that part of us which is connected to divinity.
And why do you want to be at zero? Because as soon as you're back to zero, divinity can then come through so that you have a perfect body, perfect ideas, perfect house you buy. The idea is you get this perfection, and as the divinity runs your mind as opposed to memory running it.
Even if you've been cleaning for some time, you can actually forget this. You know, problems will come up and you go, oh, I've got to clean on that to be a good person. I intend that other people be happy. But this is the intention that produces the final level of data that needs to be broken through to really get to that place of extreme clarity. Because when you get there, divinity, which knows better than you or I, divinity which understands the problems at a far deeper level than our egos, than our thinking minds, and even our emotional selves, will come forward and make the change that divinity feels is right for you, for me, for the people in our worlds. You become, in that sense, almost an avatar of a certain divine will. And now we have to ask ourselves, well, what does divinity want for me? And will that satisfy my ego? Will that satisfy my emotional self? What if divinity doesn't have my ego's interests at heart?
It's a creator of your being. It's the one that created you. It knows exactly what it is, the exact tolerance for your existence on this earth. And then it also knows what your problems are. And your problems are memories in the subconscious, and it knows what they are and how to rectify them. This is the God in you. It can send down the information that erases the memories because it knows exactly who you are.
When I glimpse this reality, I just breathe and listen. Stuff might be going on, but it's all automated by inspiration. So I just have to get out of the way and let divinity do its work. Now that's on a good day. Some days just catapult problems at me, and it's all I can do just to cycle the 4 phrases. But if I keep at it, at a certain point, their influence will exert themselves upon my mind, my perception, and my reality, and peace will again begin with me. And if you're one that asks, do I have to feel the words? The words are the key to unlocking those emotional, energetic states. Even when I'm not feeling it, like on those days problems are being catapulted at me one after the next, and I'm 100 miles away from a place of clarity, the words eventually take over. The words work. Stick with the cleaning, allow the words to do what they do. They'll guide you to inspiration, and you will get there.
That's the guideline, is be 100% responsible. And the way to be 100% responsible is start cleaning so you can get to 0.
And what about the I'm sorry, forgive me?
Now you're getting fancy.
This might have been my greatest mistake, because for years I railed against the idea of sorrow and forgiveness as a part of the healing process. I'd spent a little time with them, but really I ignored them. In more recent years, I've spent time deeply exploring the energy, frequency, and vibration of I'm sorry, please forgive me. And I'm sorry, to me now represents connection through empathy. And as Ihaliakala expresses, taking personal responsibility. I'm sorry. That's me standing up to take responsibility for what I've perceived and to reshape what I've perceived inside of myself through cleaning. Please forgive me. This is surrender. This is all about giving the thinking mind over to divinity. So don't make the mistake I made. Embrace all aspects of cleaning. They're words which point us in the direction of divinity, point us into the states of gratitude, forgiveness, responsibility. Once we know how to enter these states, and once we experience entering these states for ourselves, the words are no longer strictly necessary. You can just step into these energy states.
Have you been cleaning all night, all evening, all morning?
Dream time too.
Dream time too, somebody said over here. That's fantastic.
I don't think I've had a nightmare for years. If you know anything about lucid dreaming, you'll know that lucid dreamers practice actions in the real world in order that these become automatic actions in the dream world. These actions are designed to test the nature of the dream reality, to trigger an awakening in the dream. As years passed and I practiced Ho'oponopono more, I'd find myself dropping into Ho'oponopono automatically in my dreams. The moment a dream started tipping towards a nightmare, let's say a monster randomly emerging from some weird place, for instance, instead of a fear response, which would probably further fuel the nightmarish experience, I'd habitually drop into the cleaning, thank you, I love you, which instantly appeared to transmute the monster into some kind of friendly creature, steering the dream environment around me towards a more pleasant encounter. For me, Ho'oponopono cleaning guides the dream environment always towards more heavenly and interesting encounters, which I've been enjoying now for a long time. It does make me wonder, could a similar effect be at work in the waking dream we call everyday life? Just more slowly perhaps. See if you can reshape yourself, your mind, body, your perceptions around Ho'oponopono, so that cleaning becomes an automatic reflex, one that will follow you even into your sleep. Inspiration is highly likely to show up to influence you and through you, the world. If you've got any questions about my experiences, let me know. Another great place to ask questions is the Ho'oponopono cleaning group on Facebook. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit the like on your way out, and perhaps I'll see you again.